start the recording. Let's go. So we took out the low. Market structure shift would come in if we go back above these highs. Midnight level, Asia high. I don't know. We have, I think, power speaking today. Take a look at the liquidity. Yeah, I remember why I cancelled Bookmap membership. Still some liquidity down there, but yeah, no one's really engaging. Forex Factory. Power speaking at 9:15, so 15 minutes before the market open. Opening remarks only though, if you check out what opening remarks means. Before our discussion, I will take a few minutes to discuss. Now that's a discussion. 25th of October, that was last time he had these opening remarks. Last time I found a video. I'm delighted to and honored to introduce blah blah blah. Yeah, opening remarks, just starting a introduction, giving a little speech. So opening remarks at the division of yeah, he's not gonna drop a news bomb here. They might still use it to manipulate the market, so yeah, for me that's just gonna be a entry after 9:30. Unemployment claims tomorrow with Powell speaking again, but here we have a panel discussion. I think that's worth more later during the PM session. Might skip New York, we will see, depending on how today goes. So we're still playing around, pretty happy with securing break even here. The DXY is still pushing. We marked out the buy side liquidity. DXY really not giving or showing any signs of weakness. 18. There we go. One hour time frame. We talked about the change in state of delivery, and we were waiting for, yeah, a good night's sleep and checking the charts tomorrow before we start trading London to see what Asia is doing, if it's respecting this 1 hour bearish value gap. And well, we have our answer now. We didn't. We opened up with a bullish gap. We filled that bullish gap already during Asia, and we started to expand. Buy side targets would be New York AM and PM session high for now. Sell side would be below here. Just looking at this week. DXY trending higher means lower prices for ES and NQ. NQ also just swept the low and rejected. We took a small scalp from this bearish value gap into sell side with 2 contracts on the funded account at the beginning of the stream. Ulrich, you might have missed that. But not on the trade day account, so nothing to worry. And here we have the low of the current week. Low of week. New York PM low. Come on. There we go. The Asia high has been taken. Let's see. We really should see the continuation lower. And like yesterday, our opening price is also our high for the current daily candle. So yesterday we saw that exact same thing. We opened up and we just continued lower. But we had a better trend. No, almost the same. At the beginning of Asia, we started to pull back. Then we started to trend. So we could see really something very similar to what we saw today. Sell side would be down here. We have our bearish fair value gap that has been perfectly respected during the entire Asia session. And like we spoke about the setup yesterday during the PM session, where we theoretically saw our market structure shift right here with a bearish fair value gap. I mentioned on the Discord that I specifically didn't share the setup because we have these equal highs, and ES didn't take out the buy side right here, while NQ, if we go back to yesterday, did actually take out the high at 1140 and 1140 right here. ES didn't take out this high by 1430 to 30 p.m. while NQ did. So if anything, if I would have shorted anything, it would have been NQ, because an NQ was the stronger one, took buy side liquidity. ES didn't. It just left behind these equal highs. So it was a really easy target for the PM session to simply retrace into this and continue to take this buy side. And then we had more SMT divergence this time. ES taking out buy side, going above the high, and NQ not doing that. Why didn't NQ do that? Didn't had to. I mean, we already took the major buy side. We didn't have as many equal highs just resting above here that easily. And afterwards rejected 1550 injection of liquidity. So usually during these last 5 or 10 minutes of the PM session until 4 p.m. New York local time, we get a very sudden move, big 5-minute candle, one of the biggest for the entire trading day, maybe even. Yeah, hope that makes sense. Still reacting from the daily bearish volume imbalance. Close back below, starting to go lower now. But it's taking its sweet time. Take a look at NQ. Same goes for NQ. The XY is really pushing here. So we will likely see EU also pushing further to the downside, likely targeting these lows. Simply continuing lower here. On a daily time frame, open up with a nice gap, almost filled in this entire bearish daily fair value gap. We'll see what happens afterwards. For our time frame, obvious buy side liquidity draw. 1 hour time frame, that's the one we've been watching it on. 15-minute. Open up with another bearish volume imbalance, this time below our low. We retested the volume imbalance already, so what I would expect from here is prices simply continue lower. After showing these bearish volume imbalances, the signs of weakness. So far, we retraced into the fair value gap after pulling back here, continuing lower, leaving behind the inefficiency, filled the inefficiency. We took the little scalp here on the apex funded. But the second contract got stopped out at break even. It wasn't worth the risk to me, so I entered short right here and right here. I don't know why I had such terrible fills. Really should have waited for the fair value gap, but it's okay. I expected the price to immediately continue lower. Took my first partial right here and stopped out at break even on that second one. But trader weight is done for now. low. So actually from the daily time frame, if we continue lower now to fill maybe the daily bullish share value gap right here, like we spoke about it yesterday, we could have done that same thing, but we did not. Instead, we continued up higher to retest the 50% of this entire movement to the downside. And yesterday we hit it basically to the tick, hit the whole daily bearish share value gap, daily, weekly volume imbalances. Now, only daily volume imbalance. And we started to reject after hitting that 50% to the tick yesterday during the late PM session. Paired with the 4400 level. So if we turn on double digits, 4400, rejected perfectly from here. 4300, 4200, 4100. If we take a look at NQ on the higher time frame, go to the daily, hide the indicator here quickly, we can see that we went well above this volume imbalance that we referenced on ES right here. Still didn't manage to take out this weekly daily buy side liquidity where we have that daily bearish fair value gap above us, where we've rejected last time around. We took some weekly buy side, this high to be exact, right here on the weekly time frame. That's why I have it mapped out. This is this high, Monday's high. I think that was the previous week high. We're above the trend line, depending on how you draw it. Multiple touches. If you draw it like this, not really clean looking at the most recent two highs. So I picked this one, really missed it by a couple ticks. If we do it like this, looks better. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. We broke above it yesterday. So we will see if we turn on our FIBs right here. You can already see that we are above that 50% of this entire retracement. But NQ is looking a little bit stronger than ES is actually. So we're still on this 5-minute candle with that volume imbalance close below the old low. Ideally, we'd like to see it to remain open. DXY is still pushing up higher towards the PM session buy side. PM high. AM high. We left it open. So let's see, our market structure shift would still come in at this level. This would be a, I don't know, would still be a short-term high. If we manage to close above here, could consider this as an entry. Let's see what the indicator tells us. If it would identify that as a lower high. I don't think so. No, it does not. Lower high, lower low. Too short of a period. Let's get down into the settings. Market structure length 3. Told us the MSS right here, where we signaled the short yesterday on Discord. Gave us an MSS where we entered initially, and then afterwards we took the unicorn entry based on this bullish share value gap. MSS to the downside, MSS to the upside. Most of the time, if we get the MSS to the downside, and it doesn't take very long for us to get the MSS to the upside. That's the unicorn model. If we would have, like, say, spend time in here, continue lower, consolidate, and get the push during the PM session, starting at 1 PM or maybe 1:30, then I maybe wouldn't have taken a continuation. But if we get that immediate displacement, this really marks this displacement out here is simply a judo swing to the downside, a fake move. We just place above it, leave behind inefficiencies. We respect it perfectly. Also the breaker block. We had that exact same trade yesterday on the live stream, running into our higher time frame objectives, being the previous day's high, previous week's high. We even kept on running higher into that daily volume imbalance, hit it to the tick, pulled back, shifted structure. We took the short from here, 5 points, just into this area, where we started to consolidate just between those two highs. Previous week's high, previous day's high. No candle closing outside of it once we closed inside of it. Only wicks. Pulled back, leaving behind these equal highs, bearish SMT within Q, blah blah blah. But that's too late in the session for me to even trade it. But pretty clean price action that we saw yesterday. We've been looking for the short right here. Didn't play out, and we've been looking for the long right here after this market structure shift right during the London session. We just placed one more time to the downside. We had our market structure shift right here, this dashed line, paired with a bullish fair value gap, which actually ended up holding even through the New York Open. Freshkey, one of our members, took that trade actually. On NQ it was a little bit cleaner. We already spoke about that. But for now, we took the liquidity, get rid of our higher highs and higher lows. Market structure shift related confirmation for me would be simply once we close above here. Because already looking at market structure here, I think it would kind of be forcing something if we look at the slow, lower high, lower low, lower high. Take a look at the 1 minute time frame here. Well, on the 1 minute we could get the market structure shift in once we close above this high. But I think looking at the 15, yeah, we don't even see that high being represented. So yeah, I'd prefer the market structure shift above here. Still enough room above this level to 5 points. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. Now we're back above. In Q, 5 minute time frame. Also back above, never actually closed below. That's the same bearish fair value gap we've been referencing. Turn on the new day opening gap. We see that being right here. We already filled that on NQ. That's very similar to the bearish fair value gap that we have on ES, but on ES we do not have a new day opening gap. We closed right here and we opened to the tick perfectly, so there's no new day opening gap on ES. But similar to what we saw on NQ, here a bearish fair value gap. On NQ simply a new day opening gap. We filled that, rejected, and continued lower from here. We have the midnight level that's being drawn correctly. Now actually I pushed an update on the ICT all-in-one indicator, so modifying all the default settings for the correct time zone, UTC -5. So if we reapply it to our chart, new day, new week, VWAP, daily open, 8:30 open can vanish, power of 3, kill some boxes. Asia, London, New York turned off. We only want to see Asia. Give it a little bit of time to load. We're pushing. No entry so far with the Scalper Pro strategy. We could get a secondary entry right here. Timings are all correct. Keep an eye on that. DXY rejecting here, but it's just about to take buy side liquidity. Not the biggest fan of that. So right now it's just consolidating below buy side. Most of the time that's a sign for it to take it. So it wants to continue higher. Therefore we would expect lower prices here. So this might just be a little pullback. Like I said, for me the most recent lower high to be considered as a valid market structure shift would be and we could also frame it from here, but I don't know, what do you guys think? Market structure shift from this high or this high? Take a look at our book map. Almost no liquidity here to the upside, but we still have the liquidity here at 4385 and 4386. No real orders stacked here. But volume is coming in long. Liquidated a few people right here, 22 stops. Ease, Ulrich, what do you think? If we close above here, should we treat this as a market structure shift? If we happen to leave behind a fair value gap right here, we could argue this way if we really look at fractal lower lows and lower highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Really squeezed together here. Yeah, like I said, we want to see at least a close above here in order to confirm the market structure shift. Otherwise, I would consider it as a sweep for the continuation lower. We'll see how it goes. Keep in mind what we just said about the DXY being below the New York buy side. Retracing a little. YM also didn't take the PM session low here. Well, it took one PM session low, but not this one. Take a look at ES. ES closed inside the bearish fair value gap, so nope, not yet. NQ closed above, also above the bearish fair value gap. Keep an eye on it. DXY is starting to retrace. Can't call it an inversion here on ES, so that's simple. Did we remove anything here on bookmap? No, we also didn't add anything other than little bits of shorts at 4393. 4393 right here at the midnight level basically, and the VWAP. That's why I always have the VWAP on my chart as well here on TradingView. We also have the VWAP here on bookmap. Yes, you have to delete it first, or ideally just refresh your chart, remove it, add it again to your chart, and then like I did here on NQ, then you get that update and the midnight open and all that stuff is being drawn correctly again. All right. So let's get back to business. Yesterday, or no, was it yesterday? This morning? I think this morning, because I checked out if Take Profit Trader still got the discount going on. Take Profit Trader does, I think, the Profit 100 discount code for a 40% off discount and no pro fees. I decided to go for another 25k account because, yeah, of the $1,500 profit target. Out of curiosity, want to see how much easier it is. You have a $500 daily loss limit, so that might be something. And yeah, a lower target. Almost the same amount of margin if we really take a close look here. TakeProfitTrader.com. I won't do it like I treat the Apex account nowadays, where I take one trade to pass the account. No reason to waste time here, really. Let me log out here quickly. Here we have a 50% consistency rule. 25k account. We have $1,500 margin, and on the 50k account we have $2,000 margin, 2,500 and 3,000. So really, no big difference between the 25 and the 50k. We get a $500 increase in our margin, but also a profit target that's twice as far away. Comparing it to the 25k, we'll see. Can use 3 contracts, daily loss limit of 500. So for this one, it will only be 1 trade per day, basically. See how that goes. And yeah, get funded. Don't have to pay the $130 activation fee. That's being removed. And immediate payouts. No complicated payouts rules like you have with Apex. We don't leave behind a fair value gap. Price delivers efficiently. Got a message on Discord. Awesome, Ryan's back. We keep on pushing. Take a look at YM. No signal yet. NQ kept on holding the inversion fair value gap. After making this lower low, so we cleared a short-term low here. Let's label all this up. Short-term low cleared. NQ market structure shift comes in at this high for me personally. You can also ask the indicator if we are not really sure. Do we have the default settings of 3? Yeah. So let's see what the indicator tells us. Did we already see the market structure shift? Nope. Most recent lower high is right here. So we will wait. The DXY rejecting further. Could just be a pullback. 5-minute time frame. our comeback, Ryan. Don't let the machine win. And Q, ES. Missed nothing so far. But Apex is done with their 90% discount. Would be interesting to kind of see that if I log in here and I go for a sign up form, would the discount code still work? Save 90 still works, so just out of curiosity, let's go for the process. I'm not going to purchase it. I've got enough of these Apex accounts by now, but how much would they charge? 83 bucks. A discount of 83, so okay, they still give you a 50% discount on the challenge with using the save 90 discount code. Yeah, you're right, I could do that. Would maybe even be a good idea, but that's why I created the control panel, where once with 2 clicks or a couple of clicks, all I have to do is click on the settings wheel, and without having to go through all the settings, turn on power of 3, turn on SMT divergence, turn on standard deviations, yeah, turn on the end-log. I put all these settings up here. So if I want to see something, I just have to make sure all the settings down there are correct. They are correct for CME charts by default. And then if I want to see the retail regular trading hours opening gap, I enable that. If I don't, yeah, I don't. I get what you're trying to say, but I think, I don't know. I like just having one thing here. Yeah, good for the stream too. Shows how, or showcasing how to use the indicator really. Open up with a bullish volume imbalance here on YM. We could get that crossover. Let's take a look at ES. Still struggling to get above this bearish value gap. The time is 2:45. What? Time flies past so quick. That's crazy. New 15-minute candle right here. This would also be the 15-minute market structure shift. I like that. Short-term low cleared. Yeah, highest point. DXY continuing to retrace here or reject. Like we spoke about in the weekly outlook for Ryan and Ulrich. You weren't here when I talked about it with ease. Right here we have this bullish value gap. We didn't get into it yesterday. We continued though into our anticipated area where we could see some resistance, being here where we have this daily bearish value gap, the 4400 level, so the double zero level. Easier to book orders when, yeah, less decimals involved. And the daily volume imbalance right here, and the 50% if we look at the entire move to the downside right here. If we measure from this low to this high, 50% comes in right here for old support and resistance traders. Old support, we close below it, turn into resistance. Now we're back at this level, so we want to see the break above, hold support, break off the trend line. Just a different way of looking at price action really. So expecting some resistance here, could have been anticipated. The DXY and Q above the inversion. Well, ES is struggling to get above that. YM. Yeah, let's just wait. maybe for the London Open at 3, which is going to be very soon. Take a look at Bookmap. I really appreciate that. I knew there's a YouTube streaming it, but I didn't think it could be that helpful. And take a look at that. See how we added 220 contracts short in this area right here. That's also good for a stream because I can talk a little bit more about Bookmap, spend a lot of time learning, understanding the platform once I purchased it, but I haven't been using it. You have a timer on the right down side. Okay, hiding it right there. 248. 248, and right now we have 248.55. 249. Come on, Google Chrome. Around a couple seconds of lag. So just based on this right here, we can see someone is putting orders in at 4393, which is around the VWAP and the midnight opening level. We have 216 now in at this market structure shift high. We'll keep an eye on it. I haven't been doing this in a long time. I've only relied on what I saw on the price action chart. Icebergs. Nope. Data. Another iceberg version. Stops icebergs. Imbalance. Cumulative volume data. I guess that's the higher time frame. And if you have never used Bookmap and you might be a little bit confused now, you basically just see a histogram of the orders that are being put into place or removed, stacked with this, with these bars right here. That's why they change color right here. So someone is pulling his orders away from this area. So as time is moving further to the right, progressing, we see the change in orders on specific price levels. And right here we see we're slowly, right here someone tried to pull the orders, we changed from this deeper red to orange. And if we, I don't know, see a sudden change, someone pulling the orders right here, this could be spoofing. And instead of getting short, we'll see, we keep an eye on it. Here we change color from a deeper dark orange to a lighter orange. And once we remove those orders here at 4385, we can see that someone put in orders where we change color from blue to this very bright yellow. So they moved their orders basically from 4385 to 4386, and now they moved it down, removed it completely, maybe added it somewhere else, maybe up here. We're opening Q as well. Yuck. No, I will leave ES on. I will only trade ES anyway. We didn't get a new change. We pulled some orders from the VWAP and put them down here. We're still struggling to get above the bearish fair value gap. NQ is pushing now back below the inversion. DXY, 5-minute time frame, going sideways here. Still have 8 minutes until the London Open starts. I retook the Asia high, currently playing with the Asia session high here on the DXY. This could be the consolidation. It's good to think in classical charting patterns. We have a left shoulder, our head, and currently maybe forming our right shoulder for the breakout above the neckline right here, and the push into these equal highs right here, the midnight level, and maybe even the opening price for today into the new day opening gap up here. Let me check that out. Nice, perfect. Almost no difference. Oh, come on. Go back to trading view. I could see that potentially playing out. Still holding the inversion and then, yeah, simply moving higher to buy side liquidity for a little scalp. We're at the low of the day. We're starting to put in place a inversion head and shoulder setup. This would be anticipating before we actually got the real confirmation, in my opinion. The lower high based on market structure would be right here. We make a lower low. Want to see this broken, leave behind a fair value gap, and then move with price further to the upside. An early anticipation entry for me would be right here inside this inversion to continue further up. We'll see how that goes. 5 minutes now until the London Open. LES is still rejecting, but we can see the same pattern right here. Form a low, barely make it able to really go below the low, barely able to, and starting to pull back without the confirmation close above here, without the inversion fair value gap. But still, I don't know, I'm sure some people see the potential for the head and shoulders and have a 2-point stop, target the VWAP or the midnight level for a quick scalp. YM could be offering a short signal if we close below. Let me quickly close trading view. Something's a bit laggy here. Streaming and recording and blah blah blah. Time is. Let's close a few tabs as well. Forex Factory, Take Profit Trader, we're done with that. And now we have 222 orders here. We can see how the redness is changing here to a much deeper red. And here at the VWAP, we now change from yellow over to orange. So we put a few more orders up at this level. We pulled some orders from here. Now it's orange. So it goes from blue, yellow, orange, red. La 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 la. Open up trading view again. Could be a potential London Open short. Still not best, but it's acceptable. DXY is pulling back further. Yes, on the daily time frame, NQ below the inversion now. Yes, on the 5-minute time frame. Get ready to execute on my trade of 8 top step. I appreciate the slow start in this morning session, gotta be honest. Ease, are you trading on a futures funded account, or are you still trading CFDs? Question here. Since we spoke about being shocked how precise it can be with CFDs, blah blah blah, executing on trading view, no spread, no slippage, no fucking around by the prop firm. The rules are slightly different, but I think still, yeah, acceptable really. And I mean, with that stuff we talked about, like the spread and the slippage, yeah, I don't know, it's much easier to slowly walk to your profit target if, yeah, you don't have wind blowing against you, being the prop firm in this little metaphor. Even if we would get NFP news on that very next candle, London's opened up, yeah, missed that a little here. So let's see, check out bookmap. If anything changed, orders being pulled up here from down there, putting up, add up the VWAP, added some more short limit orders right at the high. We can see we're pushing up, pulling them. Now they're completely gone. Those ones as well. Go back to trading view. And there we get our inversion head and shoulder setup playing out. So looking at bookmap, we pulled these orders completely. So these 222 shorts that we had up there have been pulled just before price moved up, and we see this big green bubble, meaning buyers start market buying. The liquidity we had up here was put further to the downside. Let's see more volume going to the longs. We touched this high now. And we got rejected. NQ took the high and got rejected. XY likely pushing back to the upside. That's why we see that rejection. We didn't get the signal right here. I didn't execute on the top step. We might get it now. We took this buy side also on YM. But, well, one bar stop wise. Not ideal with such big wicks. Go back to ES. Doesn't take the low yet. NQ playing around. The XY pushing inside a 15-minute bearish fair value gap. 1 hour candle closed. almost as a doji. Open with a little gap to the upside here. Yeah, I would be surprised to answer your, or what, just to give you an answer, if the strategy that you're using wouldn't work on a futures chart. You have less commission. Or well, so with CFDs on most of the indices, you don't have commission at all. So taking that back, but the commission is, yeah, you can disregard it basically with futures, if we're being honest. I would be surprised if it wouldn't work. I thought by now you already got your hands on a, I don't know, 15 euro or dollar Apex account just to get the hands-on feeling. See what it is like. Sometimes the best approach is to just do it. Not being scared. I mean, I would understand it if you would have to spend multiple hundreds of dollars or euros on a CFD challenge just to get the feeling. It's a little bit of money, but like $15 or 15 euros, you spent that, I don't know, going out for a kebab almost nowadays. And you might still pass it, who knows? Your first challenge. I used to also be scared of playing these challenges, blah blah blah. But eventually, realizing that the challenge is, I don't know, just really a waste of. I don't want to say waste of time. It depends. At least with Apex, I started to think like that. That's why because they are so cheap, instead of like spending an entire month of passing an Apex challenge, I simply buy 2 or 3, spend a little bit more, and if I see a 2022 model, I just enter with 10 minis, flat out. So right here, like we had it for example yesterday with the 2022 model that we shared on the Discord, I'd buy 2 or 3 50k accounts and take 1 model each per account. Win rate, we should pass at least 1 of those 3 accounts, otherwise we lost $45 and we're likely gonna pass the 4th one just to save a little bit of time. And yeah, all you need is 5 points with 10 mini contracts. Entry, that's the max position size for the 50Ks, so 5 mini stop loss or 5 point stop loss will blow your account. Not being scared at all to blow the account. Who fucking cares about those $15 Apex accounts with a, I don't know, $500 CFD prop firm account for 100k? Yeah, might be a little bit different. You need more money to be able to do it like that, to quickly pass the challenge. But yeah, with Apex, I think it's really an open invitation to do that without the consistency rule during the challenge phase. Afterwards, it's a different story. Then I would start to risk normally, but really to save some time, to not spend all my time trading on demo funds when reaching the 53k level only gets me to the funded stage. If I do it like this and it's funded, all I have to do is do 6 days of micro executions, quickly go short with 1 micro, close after 1 minute, and this already counts as a trading day. And after 6 times of doing that, you receive the email with Apex, you get funded, you get your certificate, blah blah blah. All boring stuff, because certificate doesn't make you money. And then you can basically do the challenge for a second time, with the difference that you could actually pay out this money now. I don't know. Took me also a while to, I don't know, get past the challenge. I have to take it seriously, otherwise I'm not a serious trader. But yeah, kind of silly with Apex. With Trader, I wouldn't do it. It's $100. You need more capital to like buy 5 accounts, and you also have the consistency rule, with trade day and take profit trader. So you would basically, if you would want to do the same thing with take profit trader, you take one 2022 model, let's say it plays out, and you have a profit target of $3,000. You go in with 6 minis and you hit your $1,500 in profit. You stop halfway basically, and then on a second day you do it all over again. And if you win, yeah, you pass the challenge. You do 3 more days of executing with micros and you're pretty much done. But yeah, trade day, take profit trader, they have rules in place to prevent that. Why I don't know why Apex doesn't do that. It's like a little loophole, because yeah, trade day and take profit trader and topstep, they have a daily loss limit, after which you just blow the account basically. So if you happen to lose on that second day, let's say on your TPT account, then yeah, you will blow the account. Not really worth it. With Apex, it doesn't matter. You only have to worry about the intraday trailing drawdown. That's why it should be a good setup where we hit take profit target immediately, not just enter here and hope it's gonna explode up, because on something like this, where we immediately pull back, you could potentially get stopped. But yeah, I don't know. You're not really putting yourself or exposing yourself to much risk. We have our left shoulder, we have our head, and we have our right shoulder right here. Still playing out. We have the DXY rejecting from a bearish 15. Let's see if we get the confirmed market structure shift on NQ, maybe with a fair value gap, but this wick is already negating a fair value gap. The only fair value gap that could be created here on the 5-minute time frame would be above this wick. On ES, we see that same thing. Like I said, we earlier talked about the potential for a head and shoulders, 2-point stop, continuation up higher, back at the previous week's high. Let's see if we close above here. We'd still have a breaker block to potentially enter on. These two highest up closing candles paired with a inversion fair value gap. No fair value gap, unfortunately, at least yet. But I think I would simply take it off the breaker. Let me take a look at bookmap here. No orders above here, really. All of these orders got pulled. You can see that. Most of the liquidity is being kept down here. 186, 139. We have the VWAP. We're very, very, very close to that. The midnight level. So I'm not really sure. Even if we close above here, this could be a potential entry, but we don't really have the fair value gap, and I really want the fair value gap paired with my entry. Maybe a scalp off the breaker. Tricky one. But we put the low in place. The anticipation entry would have worked. Yeah. DXY could also just be playing around here and continue up higher, which will likely lead to a losing trade. Let's look at the 1 minute if we have a fair value gap inside the breaker. Yeah, right here, paired with the breaker. Some sort of a unicorn model, I'd say. It's worth a try. But only if we close above the market structure shift level. Otherwise, yeah, we sit out. Inversion fair value gap. We have the midnight level above us. Not really a great range. Stop loss right here, 1.5 risk to reward. 2 risk to reward. Yeah, first of all, we need the structure shift confirmed. Otherwise, I deem it as a liquidity sweep. I'm glad we don't have to enter here. Let's see. DXY is pushing up again. We have 1 minute to go. No signal on YM so far. And Q likely gonna close above here, already testing the midnight level and the VWAP. Yeah, ES is rejecting here. We won't get an entry just yet. And looking back at our liquidity heat map, still see most of the liquidity is right here at the Asia low, or the London low so far, 2 AM low. Not much up here. Price seeking stops, liquidity for the longs that already entered on that potential head and shoulders that we spoke about. I mean, played out, it delivered into buy side, depends on your target. If that's a win, okay, we didn't close above. We didn't close above on NQ. DXY is pushing close above the 15-minute bearish fair value gap. YM took out the high. Yes, took out the high. And I'm gonna go to the bathroom quickly. I'd also appreciate no entry for the London session once. VPOC migration on ES at 4389, which could then give a bounce on the retest. Well, you know a lot for the just getting into it phase. You even look at the volume point of control. I don't know, I started to try to simplify it. I used to have the volume, or the anchored volume profile also on my chart. Where do we have it? Anchored volume profile right here. Right now, volume point of control, or used to be volume point of control up here at the Asia high. Now down here. Just sounds fancy, I get it. Gonna be back in no time. Again. All right, so we retested the inversion fair value gap right here, purple area. We used to respect it until we broke above it. Now we're respecting it as support. Get rid of all that noise. Pushing back up. NQ also. Maybe getting that close now. DXY is pushing up at the same time. YM is also pushing up. Well, like I said, unfortunately today we don't really have the fair value gap. Also on a 15-minute time frame, we will likely not get the fair value gap opportunity because of this big wick right here. We almost hit the Viva, but I just hope we're not going to close above it. We had more and more orders down here. 137, 196, icebergs -10, imbalance, CVD. Well, I don't know. Doesn't really help me looking at bookmap, at least right now. That's why I sized down the entire operation to just one monitor. I used to have a total 3, one super wide one vertical one, but I don't know, I've really felt like I just look at too much stuff, making it harder for myself. Alright, so we didn't close above, but we got a volume imbalance right here. Could be a nice sign. NQ closed above and also got this volume imbalance. The DXY keeps on pushing higher. YM open up with a volume imbalance. We're still at that previous week's high. I don't know, the volume imbalance, kind of a confirmation, but if anything, it could be an aggressive entry if we leave it open. But still, I don't know, 5 points would already get us to the Asia session high. It would only be a scalp. I wouldn't really take that on the trade day account because therefore we, just simply need the fair value gap entry, period. It's not worth the risk, especially being in drawdown. We're much better off sticking to our rules. With the DXY now having taken the AM buy side, pushing, and ES, what's happening? Also moving to the upside. It's not really what we want to see in terms of correlation, but yeah, that's painful. So I won't take it on the trade day account. Maybe on my funded Apex, one of the newer ones. But even there, like, no entry on YM. NQ is getting held up at the midnight level paired with the VWAP, but I think this buy side is eventually going to be taken. Now we hit the midnight level on ES. We have that same buy side liquidity we talked about on NQ up here. The unfilled volume imbalance. Two and a half minutes to go. So let's see if it remains unfilled. Then I might take an entry right here, but only for the scalping account. But only if we happen to stay below this buy side liquidity. If we just push up from here, then it's a miss for me, especially if we manage to take out Asia buy side from here. I mean, we mentioned the inverted head and shoulder setup. That's exactly what played out. Now we took this buy side liquidity. We also took it on in Q right here. Take a look at our book map. If we see any changes, 4398, they pulled some orders from down here. Maybe just spoofing. DXY hit the high and rejected. YM had a strong push already above the Asia session high. Well, so we don't have a fair value gap paired with our market structure shift level. We only have a volume imbalance paired with that. I think I place my limit order like this for the funded account. I put it right on the breaker block. Target 5 points, or these equal highs, Asia session highs. Yep, like that. And see how that goes. But what we do not want to see is this being a retracement above the 50% of our Asia to London range, and then simply continue lower from here like we saw yesterday during the New York session. We took the high, DXY rejecting again, YM having cleared the Asia high. We're above the midnight, we're closing above the midnight, 15-minute time frame. Also pushing up nicely at the high of a 15-minute bearish fair value gap. We open up with a new volume imbalance. We already tested this one. If anything, I want to get in around the breaker block. Even if we might leave behind a fair value gap with the midnight level, it might work, but it's not a entry that I want to take. Am I going to take this on trade day? No, I will not. I will only take this on the Apex funded account, because for trade day we're simply lacking the bullish fair value gap, which is an essential part of the strategy. Yep, could also be. Could always be just a retracement. We play the odds, even if we're wrong. We have the market structure shift coming from the low of the day. Yes, like we spoke about. Current daily range, if we measure that out and use the ICT fib retracement, we almost hit the optimum trade entry up here. 61.8 already hit, lined up perfectly with the buy side. So could have simply retraced before continuing lower into this PM session sell side. Like I said, if we quickly expand from here after bouncing off the midnight level, taking that Asia buy side, I'm gonna remove the order. Looking like it's gonna do that. Might leave behind a bullish fair value gap right here. We simply just didn't get the entry unless we jump in with the momentum, but that's not what I do. Try rejecting further. Like placing a buy limit right on the midnight. I don't know, you could. For a scalp. I'd be waiting for my setup though. And we simply don't have the bullish fair value gap other than this one right here. And looking at our risk to reward. Well, maybe if we continue above yesterday's high, we could get our 2-to-1 with a midnight entry like this. That would be a... Yeah, we would have to hit the previous day's high in order to get our 2-to-1 out of the market today. Well, we will see if we get the push into Asia buy side above the daily open before we get a proper retracement. We're simply gonna ditch it. We could also look at a bigger picture head and shoulder setup. Just saw that. Left shoulder. This entire area forms our head. And now we are at the neckline right here, being our shoulder, our head. And now we're looking forward to form our right shoulder, bounce off the breaker, break the neckline, and reach the previous day's high. Hope that makes sense. The same way as we broke down the internal head and shoulder setup. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, we break the neckline, boom. Consolidate, accumulate below the Asia session low, we break out. And now we've got that, bigger picture head and shoulder setup. Pull back to, somewhere in this area for the continuation higher, depending on how bullish we actually are and how bearish the DXY will be. YM just keeps on going higher, and Q closed above the midnight, bounced off the midnight as well. Could see that same potential for the bigger picture head and shoulder. Asia low being the left shoulder, the London session low being the head, and somewhere around this area we would look for the right shoulder, pull back, continue to expand. Open up a new 5-minute candle. Yep, especially when trading indices. Sucks. Demo FTMO picture. Interesting. So let's see, log out of the trader weight Apex, go into the TD account, and simply before doing that though, check book map. Screw it. We have our market structure shift, we have our fair value gap above. I'm gonna create my limit order like this, not afraid to lose the account. Done. On this highest bullish fair value gap, we could retrace further, I understand that, but I'm up for the risk. 2-to-1 risk to reward would be the previous day's high. Let's see if price is willing enough to do that. If not, so be it. NQ rejecting here, DXY pushing back up. Volume imbalance, optimum trade entry to the downside. Let's see. Bit low hanging fruit entry to make sure to get filled. Right now we're inside this volume imbalance. Could be a misjudgment. Hindsight will tell afterwards. But I'm gonna leave the order in like this for the trade day account. Go over to my Apex funded account. Here I would wait for the unfilled volume imbalance entry down there, paired with the breaker block. And for the new take profit trader account, I think I would take the same, to be honest, guys. $25K account, enter right here, secure after 5 points, doesn't make sense, so we move it down. Makes more sense, create limit order. By modify the stop loss by this. DXY is pushing back up. So yeah, we still have the potential of this being a optimum trade pullback. Also on NQ, if we take a close look at that. From the high of the day to the low of the day, optimum trade entry hit. So if we simply continue to be bearish, we would expect it from here. Buy limits are set though. That's the thing about, looking or thinking too much. You will always find a reason that's against your entry. We have the market structure shift from coming from the low of the day. I understand that we already expanded into a potential reversal zone for the short. If you think the short's more likely, then simply take the short. Like, no one's forcing you to take the same trade as I do. With every position you're gonna enter on, you're gonna find a reason why it might not work out. It's always gonna be something. Let's see, we rejected here, kept holding, still above the buy side. Same for NQ here. DXY just consolidating here, keeps on doing that. Equal highs, yeah. Let me take a look at Bookmap. I don't show 4400 yet, but they're putting in more and more orders up here. Like I said, only want to get in if we at least fill this bullish fair value gap paired with the midnight level. We have the VWAP above us to support price. We have the breaker block right here. So I don't know. I would also cut my risk early if I see orders fail and I see reason to believe that the short might have been the right entry opportunity. Then I can simply still cut my risk. For the take profit trader account, the Apex account, my entry is going to be much lower. Not want to expose myself to more risk on those. Let's go back to the trade day account. So if we would immediately close somewhere down here on this very next candle, I would even take or accept that little loss, but yeah, I don't know. After taking sell side, we pull back into a premium to continue further into discount, or we simply get the low for the session setup to continue to run at least the Asia session high. Yeah, let's see how that goes. DXY now pushing back up again. Let's just try to identify our setup and ignore everything else. Not worth it. If you don't do that, and you look at the potential that we could reverse from here, from an optimum trade entry, blah blah blah, you might as well trade that. If you keep thinking about it. So just gonna leave all the entries like we have them set. Let's see if we retrace back into the breakup block, or maybe just this fair value gap. Yeah, here on the higher time frame we can see how much liquidity, how much darker the red is, right around 4400. And the other pool would be at 4385. Looking at that on our trading view chart, 4385 PM liquidity, or yeah, 4400 back into the daily volume imbalance. Let's see what it wants to do first. Check out the lower time frames maybe, and we just consolidate here. Did we get filled? Nope, not yet. Now we're filled. So let's see how we do. Target obviously would be our previous day's high for a 2-to-1. We'll see how price behaves around the Asia level. Might also just secure early. 10 points during London. It's rare, especially with on lower volatility days. 5 points be already acceptable. Form a new high for the day. Or simply set and forget and let it rock. So we will see. Our first entry came in from the midnight level paired with this bullish fair value gap. If we immediately see it close below that, we have an inversion fair value gap, and I would start to lean more or give the optimum trade entry short more significance. As long as we're respecting this area paired with the VWAP and all that stuff, I'm confident on the long. I'm not too worried about power speaking, to be honest. I started to get sick of this, I don't know, people on Twitter and other ICT traders always, oh yeah, but we got news here, and yeah, we've got news there, and oh yeah, shit, blah blah blah. We cannot trade the news, and we can also trade the no news days because they move shitty. But well, if you cannot really trade the news days and you cannot really trade the non-news days, which days you gonna trade? That's the question. So I simply, yeah, I don't know. Power is only giving opening remarks today at 9:15. We got our setup. I take the setup. Keep it simple. Had a nice bounce after midnight. The other accounts would only get in if we get a deeper retracement. Let's see. Right here we got our market structure shift and the fair value gap. In this scenario, the fair value gap is above the market structure shift, which is not always the best entry, but it's the only entry we have. Of course, we could continue lower to fill this unfilled inefficiency down here, but I'm simply gonna let my stop rest down here at 5.25 points. See how it goes. Yeah, just have to check with your prop firm rules. But during the challenge, it's barely an issue for any of the prop firms afterwards once you're funded. They just don't want you to, I don't know, if you enter during the London session with your setup, even throughout the news, it's not an issue with most of the prop firms. The rules just state that they don't want someone to place a buy and sell limit at specific levels right when the news hit. I mean, with CFDs, you almost are not able to do that because they simply slip the shit out of you, or at so much spread it's not really profitable anymore. But with futures, you could do that. Simply set your buy and sell limit. Yeah, they just don't want to. They want consistency and not gambling, which it oftentimes is with news. With Apex and the challenge, it wouldn't even be an issue if you enter right with that news candle. Just have to make sure you comply with your prop firm's rules. The XY is still consolidating here, but I think eventually it's gonna take these highs. And Q starting to retrace. We have a tiny little bullish share value gap here, hit the optimum trade entry. Well, like I said, we're not gonna look at that, not drive ourselves crazy. We have our first inverted head and shoulders. We could now start to form a potential bull flag. This is more classical charting patterns, but we will see how it plays out. I still like those. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, could be forming a bull flag here, fill the right shoulder, and then expand further to the upside. This is what I'm playing. I'm sure there's other ways to play this. Enter off the midnight level. If we get a deeper retracement, I get filled on the other accounts as well. Otherwise, I will be sitting out. And yeah, I don't know, trying to keep it simple. I'm sure there are some traders looking to short right where I entered, or have some reason to believe why we could form a reject of the bearish fair value gap or the volume imbalance or whatever. Basically 1 hour time frame, no bearish fair value gap. 4 hour time frame, we hit the 4 hour bullish fair value gap. We could simply just do something like yesterday where we chopped during London. If that's the case, yeah, we simply take the loss, do the same thing day in day out, and eventually gonna end up in profit with a decent win rate. Let's see. So far we didn't really had to suffer drawdown based on the midnight entry. Let's see if we can keep it that way. If we continue from here to take out Asia buy side, I'm gonna move my stop to break even, because after taking that previous session liquidity, well, being in profit with 5 points, I don't really have to watch price continue to come back to the breaker block and then hold support. I much rather take profit here and maybe enter again during New York, or maybe not, down on the breaker block with the unfilled inefficiencies that we have left behind. But so far, price has really been respecting these bullish order flow levels. We took the short-term low, leaving behind this bearish fair value gap. We used that to deliver into that sell side. Afterwards, we came back up into it. Bodies respected it perfectly until it failed. And after it failed, what did we do? We kept holding support on this old bearish fair value gap, now inversion fair value gap, and continued to expand from here without really giving us the entry opportunity paired with the market structure shift, confirmed by a candle close. That's why we're ending up just getting in right here on that first bullish value gap. We want to see that order flow still being respected to continue at least into Asia session high. DXY pushing. ES daily time frame. Rebalanced yesterday's candle, yesterday's high. We've already hit that and rejected from there. Take a look at our book map. Yeah, we're still alive. Still a majority of the liquidity coming in at 4,400. 4,400 would roughly be around, or at least above the Asia session high. Let's see how this candle is going to close. YM not really willing to give us an entry here today. Well, I'm okay with that. And Q pushing again as well. DXY still consolidating. What is the time? It's 3:45, so this is actually a new 15-minute candle. We can see that this 5-minute bullish fair value gap nicely overlaps with a 15-minute inefficiency right here. Almost the same fair value gap entry. 15-minute market structure shift, displacement, fair value gap right on that candle. This being our last manipulation move to the downside, measuring from here to here, using the ICT standard deviations. 3 standard deviations would take us towards the previous day's high. 10 points. We don't have an intraday trailing drawdown. But with Powell speaking, I don't know if I want to do that. We took the Asia low. We could simply be taking the Asia high and then take out some of these longs right here. We'll see how I'm going to play this 5 points. Asia high will only be 3 and almost 4 points. 5 points would make a new high of the day. 2 to 1 would deliver. Oh man, why did I click on that? Well, that wasn't on purpose. That was a complete mistake. Fucking hell, what happened here? I moved my mouse to the downside and there must have been something subconsciously. Well, I mean, I guess we're out. Made some profit at least. Seemingly right now at a good time. Well, at least a mistake that didn't cause a loss. Gonna analyze the video afterwards. Well, we're out of the trade from the 5-minute inefficiency. Let's see if that might have been my intuition taking over control, my unconscious taking over the subconscious mind, taking over the conscious mind. We'll see. DXY expanding higher, YM rejecting, and Q rejecting after hitting the 80%. Still have that 15-minute fair value gap right here, so we could simply enter at the same price level again if we would really want to. Or I should really get my hands off the mouse once I'm in the trade. Well, how many points is that? 2 points, $100. Not really sure what to do with that now. Well, mistake. We're not going to chase up here. That would just lead to unnecessary drawdown. If it happens to continue up higher or to go up higher, then it's simply my mistake. Otherwise, we just place the same limit order as we do on the other accounts down here at the breaker block. We just watch and see what price is up to. $173, 4,400. Contemplating right now. Well, best thing to do is simply take a screenshot and do something else instead of trying to make a mistake. Trade day 50k. How much profit? 95.42. We're simply gonna accept that. 95.42. One contract. Yes, one buy. We add the screenshot in here. New York Midnight Open session, London, mistake, exit. All right, journal the trade. So now we open up with a bearish volume imbalance. I'm pretty sure that we might get down to our 15-minute fair value gap. Could almost get our bearish market structure shift here from the optimum trade entry. But since we have our 15-minute model confirmed, I'd say, this being our 15-minute bullish fair value gap, our 15-minute breaker block, I'm simply going to enter on that same level. Closed above, so we also have an inversion here. Maybe try to improve our risk reward. Buying at the low of the 15, allowing for a little bit of a deeper retracement. Well, maybe this breaker block. Take a look back at the DXY. The DXY is now taking the buy side liquidity, or took at least the New York PM session high. NQ rejected here pretty strongly. Yes, it's still sort of consolidating here, putting in place higher highs and higher lows. And I think that's a pretty good entry for the trade day account. This is one of the situations where it's really hard to decide where to enter. A little bit tricky. Because we don't have the fair value gap below the 5-minute market structure shift, but if we look at the 15, we have a pretty clear 15-minute market structure shift as well. We simply stick to that. We have a 15-minute fair value gap below the 15-minute market structure shift. So unless this happens to be a total fake out and we continue lower from here, I would accept that. I mean, being wrong is part of the job, even if we, be wrong a couple of times. If we are wrong more than we're right, we're about to hit the old entry again. This is our 15. Ah. Well, what's the worst thing that can happen? So we lose. We've been doing that, so I want to get in at the low of the 5-minute for the trade day account. Gonna leave it like this. Two to one risk reward brings me to the high of the daily volume imbalance. We hit the midnight level again, so, well, kind of a lucky mistake securing these $100 here. Alright, trade day is set. We set and forget. Take the same entry on the TPT account. Keep it simple. 2 to 1. And then let's look over to our Apex funded. Take the same entry. Okay, the other accounts are filled. I'm gonna also get filled on the Apex funded. It is 4 AM, so that's also a new hourly candle. We will see what that will do. We have that unfilled volume imbalance. All the accounts are in the exact same position. DXY took out the New York AM session buy side. If we continue to expand above that, that will simply likely lead to a loss on our indexes. NQ is looking much more bearish than ES. Yeah, we'll see. Right now we're not too much in a drawdown. That's still manageable. And we still have the breaker block to support us here. I know we came off the short, measuring our entire daily range. Optimum trade entry. But could always find a reason against our trade. Would have to be on a very bad luck streak in order to miss that. So we just tapped this unfilled volume imbalance and we kept holding perfect support on it. We filled that in. Kept respecting the breaker, still at the VWAP. Take a look at bookmap here. Get our eyes off the chart. I'm gonna be back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to the bathroom again. Everything's set. Trying to forget. Still looking good. Still looking like we're respecting midnight. Kind of terrified coming back to the chart. But nothing to worry about. 30 seconds to go. Take a look at the DXY. Pushing above the buy side. Take a look at NQ, also rejecting here. This is our breaker block on NQ. We have our old inversion fair value gap, but no real need for that if we look at the 15. No 15-minute fair value gap here on NQ. Could be a potential sweep to continue lower like always. Could be the 2022 model playing out. We play the odds. Breaker block here on NQ. Unfilled volume imbalance. ES closed below the midnight level, but kept holding the VWAP. DXY keeps on pushing. YM is also retracing. Oh yeah, pretty decent entry, only $12 in drawdown. It's acceptable. Our risk isn't too big. It's not a 15-point stop loss. It's less than 5 points actually, which is pretty good. 5 points profit target for a 1-to-1 risk to reward would take us just above the Asia buy side liquidity pool. No, that's 4.75. 5 points would come in one tick above that. See how we manage it. For right now, the profit target is set at a 2-to-1. Standard deviations of our last manipulation. If we're right, we can stick to that. 0.5 hit, one standard deviation hit with the candle close. 1.5 would deliver us above the Asia high. 2 standard deviations, 2.5 would deliver us to the 4400s. We'll see. More liquidity being added here at the upside. Who's in the same trade that I am right now? I'm in. Alright, guess I'm alone. Any reasons for why not? You have a stronger feeling that we continue lower? You don't like the setup? NQ, DXY took out the liquidity. Any reasons for that not being in the trade, or just, yeah, don't think it's a good setup? Low probability because we could also just be continuing lower. Just want to understand why our opinions, yeah, diverge here. Fair enough. Yeah, for me, it's just mostly the fact that I see the setup. We have the market structure shift on both the 5 and 15-minute time frame. We have our 15-minute bullish fair value gap. We hit the breaker, filled the unfilled volume imbalance. We have the midnight level paired with all that. And my biggest issue is that after seeing all this and knowing the potential is there, if it hits my take profit target or if it just simply continues to the Asia buy side, it would be, I don't know, more of a annoying feeling to me than simply not taking the trade based on a gut feeling. I want to get the gut feeling away or remove that. So yeah, I don't know, it would hurt more watching it hit the take profit without me after knowing it's a valid setup. There's nothing going against this being a valid setup. We have the 5 and 15-minute fair value gap right here. We have our breaker block. We have this area as our 15-minute breaker block. Of course, we could always be wrong. Who cares about being wrong? But I care about not being in the trade once I identify the correct setup. We're not putting ourselves at too much risk. We're not over leveraging. 4.75 point stop loss. We cover that on our account. We already secured some profits with this initial move to the upside. The setup is there. And if it's there, I don't know, I just can't stand watching it go up because, like, why the fuck am I then even in front of the charts for? If I see the setup and I don't take it. Then I could also do some other things. So yeah, that's just my thinking and reasoning. Yeah, exactly. It's there. Hard to disagree. We have our displacement. We left behind inefficiencies. We have our higher time frame displacement as well. The only thing that could fail, like it could always fail. Every single 2022 setup, you could look for reasons why we could reject from old structure to the left. It's always a reversal setup. So there's always going to be a optimum trade entry or a 61.8 that's going against you or a trend line or something else. I just like the setup. We have this head and shoulder setup. Within the head and shoulder setup, I play it. We have the bullish fair value gap. The ideal entry, if I would have left my orders like I used to have them down here on this volume imbalance paired with the breaker, I'd already be in profit. But yeah, like I said, not putting ourselves in any danger of blowing this account or blowing any of the accounts if we hit our stop loss, and therefore it's worth the potential risk for me. What's the time? It's 10:12. Similar setup to what we saw yesterday, where we failed to take the Asia high. We have our market structure shift, we enter, but unfortunately we happen to fail. Could exactly happen the same way today, but well, I don't care. NQ bouncing off the breaker, DXY pushing strongly above the buy side liquidity, very strongly. Right here after consolidating above the daily bearish fair value gap. But we still kind of see, even with the new hourly momentum, the indices holding up. Could change quickly as well, I understand that. Let's watch the 15 if we close above or below our 15-minute fair value gap. Otherwise, I will just I think for the London kill zone we won't get a better opportunity either. So Well, I've got my entry. We've got our stop loss and take profit target set. The rest I can really manage from my phone. So we will see. Maybe I also end the London stream a little bit earlier and head to the gym. So we closed right at the low of the 15-minute fair value gap. Let's look at the retracement of this entire displacement. We just hit the 50%. Optimum trade entry would be deeper down in the breaker block. New 15-minute cycle. The first one with the new hourly candle. We closed below the 5-minute. So let's see if we get resistance from here, but we still have that 15-minute in play. I would stick to that. See what we do from here. On NQ. This would be a bearish market structure shift from the optimum trade entry. Too many upper wicks. I don't know, like I said, I could be wrong, you could be right, but saw the setup, and the most important thing for me is to actually execute based on the setup once I see it. If I don't, then like right here I don't really have, it would be based on gut feelings, not based on a mechanical set of rules of why I wouldn't take this long, and I took the London long yesterday. So simply take them every day. That's consistency challenge. And yeah, see how we go. A loss is a loss. Win's a win. And yeah, we'll see. Market structure shift on both 5 and 15-minute time frame are valid. We have our fair value gap on both the 5 and 15-minute. We could also enter lower on the breaker block. That's up to us. I chose the low of the fair value gap to enter into the trade. And other than that, here that would be our 15-minute breaker block. We just tapped the low of it. These consecutive up-closing candles paired with the unfilled 5-minute volume imbalance. We have the potential head and shoulder setup. Inside the head and shoulder setup, to simply at least take out the Asia high, maybe form a new high of the day. We could simply fail, continue back up, and do the same thing that we did yesterday, but well, it's always an option. So we're simply gonna see how that plays out. Not really. 5-point stop loss is totally fine for a London session on ES. It's even less than 5 points if we look at yesterday. Entry on the breaker block, maybe a little bit less. It's the 15-minute time frame. Where's the 5-minute time frame? We entered right here with the breaker block. 4.5 points. Can't really say that's too big for a London session. Basically exactly the same setup as yesterday. So can't argue with that. 5 points for the London session is really, I wouldn't say the average, but yeah, kind of the average. 2.5 points, so here we had half the average, but we also had a much smaller range and got our entry prior to the London Open. Here we didn't see the proper market structure shift, but from our fair value gap entry right here, On every other strategy, you also wouldn't say that, oh, the stop loss is pretty big and you would just simply follow the rules. That's what we're here to do, even if it fails. If we go back to the power of 2 strategy, a setup is a setup. Here we had even a bigger stop loss than 5 points. During the London session, we took the high, had our displacement, fair value gap entry. We just take them. And Q is looking a little bit weaker, while the DXY is still continuing further to the upside. Yes, is kind of holding up here, now touching the breaker block. Well, I think I'm gonna simply leave it at that for today, for the stream at least. And yeah, leave my take profit target and stop loss where it is right now. And yeah, I will let everyone know if I take an earlier exit in the tape reading chat or the VIP chat, in case we bounce off here and maybe take out the Asia buy side high. Otherwise, yeah, it's just gonna be a stop, and it's not gonna matter too much because we already secured $100 on the trade day account. On the Apex account, I would be back to break even, which is fine. I won one yesterday. That's short right here. 5 points, and now we're in a long. Can't expect to win every trade, so just forget about winning and losing. Focusing on the rules, and profit should be a healthy byproduct. Alright guys, thanks very much for joining in this morning. I will edit and upload the recording.